Why don't we, do we need to do it? Do we just put it, since we're remote, just, why don't we state all of our names just for the record that we're here? Mike Evans, Chairman of Retirement Board.
Dennis Flagg.
Paul Shea, Mark Izzo.
And I'm
Steve
Jim
Juster,
Jaskat,
representing the
Finance
committee.
Director. I'm sorry. Jim Jaskat.
Sorry,
Finance
I overstepped you.
Okay.
Kevin Costa, Police.
Okay. Excellent. So what we'll do our pledge, everyone. You ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Oh, look at that, a flag.
And to the
And
Republic.
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Arnett, thank you for the flag. Wow, how impressive. Okay, so we're meeting here, and Ross will take over for the rest of it, but IVA Fund, as we've all perhaps seen, has announced closing of their fund, and we have a little over 6 million in the general fund, and then a few $100,000 between OPEB and looks like 92,000 OPEB, 296. This approximate numbers firefighters, and 58,000 the Police Healthcare Trust. But more importantly, about 6.1 million with everybody else. And so Ross, take it away.
Okay. I'll share a screen. Let me see if this is gonna bear with me a second. And if I can't, I got a new computer, and I guess not everything is where it was. Bear with me for a second.
And by the way, thank you everyone for being on such short notice. So we appreciate that.
There we go. Okay, I got it now. All right. So I'll be very, very brief, actually, just in summarizing what is happening and what our recommendations are, and then discussion or any questions. But as Mike summarized, IVA announced that they're going to they're going to close down, stop managing money, and send cash back to investors. We have the IVA portfolio in each of the various pools. As you can see here, 7.4% of the retirement plan, and you can see between 8 and 12% in the other 3 portfolios. And we can move, and we believe that we should move ahead of the April 19th date when they're going to send cash out. And so what we have here are schedules for each portfolio. And what you'll see is that the before and after, so for example, in the case of the retirement plan, the before and after is intended to be basically an interim step from our vantage before we're going to, at the next meeting, go through some other recommendations. But what it allows us to do is to maintain the asset allocation really as it is and as it was with IVA. As you may know or remember, IVA owns stocks, bonds, cash, etc. And so what ends up happening by distributing IVA among the existing investments between U.S. stocks, international stocks here, if you can see the little handprint, the fixed income portfolio, what we're doing is, recommending doing is really distributing to the extent that their underlying portfolio is allocated similarly to these asset classes. So there's the sources uses on page number 10 for the retirement. There's the sources uses, each one for the healthcare trust here. And actually in this case, in the portfolios, First Eagle is not in these portfolios, and so it's a little bit more of a one-for-one reallocation. So it's a little bit easier to deal with in these portfolios. And I don't think, by the way, this would mean that we're going to make investment recommendations to change these portfolios necessarily at the upcoming meeting. But you'll see in each case, you see IVA coming out and then going to First Eagle just beneath it. and I'll just highlight the red and you'll see the blue, and there's some other reallocations taking place here. I did that very, very quickly, and I don't mean to short shrift anything, but I just wanted to cover the basic nuts and bolts of the recommendations. Money's coming out, we can do it early, and we recommend doing it early, in which case we want to reallocate it really without making any, asset allocation changes to how things are laid out presently. So I'm going to stop there or pause, and then we can kind of jump into what's a little bit more about what's going on or any questions.
And I understand from the materials, Ross, you folks are looking not for tonight, but at a few other alternatives. I saw GMO benchmark free, Newton Global Real Return, Tweedy Brown, RBA, and maybe others before we meet again, so that we keep that style that we had with IVA of kind of go anywhere and have a few funds that do that. The other one, I guess, is Crescent and First Eagle, of course. So that's sort of the thought process for either the next meeting or the meeting after.
It is. I think what we did here, there's a lot more material. I think what we're doing is kind of showing our work a little bit to give a sense as to, when this occurred. We said, okay, what are, if we were to take money out of IVA, where are other places that we may look to, to go with the funds? And it's in each portfolio, and you can even see it here, right? So on a different scale, in each portfolio, the answers might actually be different, because some portfolios, for example, such as in the retirement, already have First Eagle. Some, don't have First Eagle, and it's an easy kind of 1-for-1, let's say, in the OPEB, in the VEBA, in the Firefighters Plan, to introduce First Eagle Global as a 1-for-1 in a portfolio where First Eagle already exists with other managers. One option that we consider, and in fact we're, at least as an interim step, doing, is to rebalance across existing managers. At the next meeting, one of the things, and I know we spoke about this briefly last time, is that we have some action items, I think, coming up. One of which is, if you look at the portfolio here, one thing that you will see is, for example, Neuberger Berman International. We mentioned that the manager of the portfolio, who's done a very good job, decided that his calling in life is to go be a math teacher, and he's going to retire and cede control of that portfolio. So we're going to have a couple things to kind of deal with, and I think it'd be best if we did that. This recommendation. It's somewhat administrative, because we want to make a change. We want to not make a change by making these changes, so that when we come into the meeting that's coming up, we're basically starting from essentially where the position that we would have otherwise been in, based on the asset allocation, so that we can address a couple of changes altogether. If that makes sense.
Is there any penalty by taking the money out early?
There's no penalty taking money out early, and to the extent that the fund, could possibly incur some expenses all the way down, as it winds down in those last, several days. Doing this now is one of the reasons that it helps us avoid, possibly being one of the last investors if they get hit with a tax bill from France or something. I've heard that might be a possibility. So it's totally liquid, and they've really started to wind things down. So I think it's prudent, actually, to do it sooner.
So when do we expect to, we vote on it tonight, would we expect before they're closed that the money will have moved to us?
We would do it tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. We would do it tomorrow. It's daily.
Ross, can you go back to reallocation, please?
This page here.
Grazie.
Yeah, page 10.
So it's all coming out global international, and then we're gonna move it around a little bit. So really what you're doing is for now, we're putting it more in the fixed income for now, right? Just to park the money and then we can reallocate later on. That's your thought?
Well, yeah, in a manner of speaking, the way I would look at it, I would look at two things. One is I would look at this page here, and I'm going to come back to this page. But what I would look at is, and I don't, hopefully it's not too small. I can probably make it larger. But if you see, okay, so you see total equity as of now essentially is 62% equity.
Yeah.
Right. And then afterward, it ends up at almost
Oh, I
exactly
see.
the
So you're
same number.
balancing it. Okay, so it does balance out. What you're saying is you're moving it to like accounts, so it'll kind of move the same, we think.
Yeah, it would. This is really how, when we transition port. So you'll see there's 6.15 million.
Yep.
And you'll see a little bit of money going to Hamlin, which is U.S. dividend stocks, ClearBridge Growth. So these are all going into stocks.
Mm-hmm.
These are all going into fixed income, but it doesn't actually change the underlying allocation really at all. I mean, obviously the holdings are different, but
that fund
market
IVA had
exposure's not.
that IVA fund had a 40% allocation of cash, and I'm guessing it's even more as they're winding down right now.
It's gone. Yeah, I think in the last several days it's gone up because we were tracking how the portfolio moves, and it's really not. It went from moving to not moving.
Ross, where do you put that excess, if there is any, from what you've shown here?
The excess.
Yeah, if the final distribution ends up being a little bit more than the 6.154 million.
Good question.
It
won't be.
Looks like it's in percentages, right? 10%
so
Hamlin and 10% ClearBridge.
To Jim's point, we would do, because every day it's going to move a little bit. I'm sure it's different than it is here. Our recommendations will be based on the percentages. So we end up making these percentage, these are the percentage allocations.
Okay.
In the end. Amanda, are there any other, just as you're looking at this, any other nuances to the, I know there was, we're not raising any cash here or anything like that, because I know.
Yeah, no, I guess the only thing in the OPEB, BIBA and firefighters would just be that there was some cash there. So it's really just getting kind of pro rata allocation across the managers to get that invested.
That makes sense. See what you're doing.
Yeah, and then we'll have a deeper dive in the May meeting.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought it was the most important thing in the interim was to deal with this and not to hurry any other. There's no need to hurry any other decisions going forward, because it wouldn't have been important enough to to go and do that now.
Any other questions, anybody?
Makes sense.
So basically, if we vote on to approve that tonight, that's something that you guys can get to work on, this week.
Yeah,
That's
I'll
right.
send the forms over to Jim tomorrow then.
Okay.
Michael, you want to make a recommendation?
I'll make a motion for us to approve the reallocation of the IVA fund as appears on page 10 on the source and use, and I don't have the exact pages on the other, but that's actually, I'm gonna do this in two recommendations. So the first motion is we're making a motion to do reallocation of the funds from IVA to those funds as appears on page 10 of the materials. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, that's simple. So the second motion, just because it's a little bit different, and to Amanda's words, there'll be a slight reallocation of some cash. But for all intents and purposes, we're going to take that same IVA monies for the Police Healthcare Trust, Firefighters Pension Trust, and OPEB Trust, and allocate those directly to the First Eagle Global Fund. Is there a second there?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Like your teddy bears there in the background, Mr. Dennis. Okay, that was simple.
Grandkids.
There we go. I love it.
They're yours. Who you kidding?
Exactly. So we think
Thanks,
that,
Mark.
right? Okay, so I left a message for Jim. With hopefully I'd like to be on the meeting. Mary and I are out of town the first week of May, so I'm hoping we can move the next meeting till perhaps a week later. That would be, I think, the 12th. Hang on. I think we're currently scheduled for,
The 5th sounds right.
I think we're currently scheduled for Cinco de Mayo. So
Yeah, you're right, Mike.
so if that works for people, my wife Mary and I are out of town that week, but if we could do Wednesday the 12th instead, if that works for people, we keep it to Wednesday. And I'm guessing, Jim, we're still going to be Zooming as opposed to meeting personally.
That would be my guess.
Does that work for people? I guess Jim, we left your message late this afternoon on that. I don't know if that works for other people's schedules.
Fine with me.
Yeah, it works. It's golf night, but I'll join as soon as I can after golf.
Okay. All right. So we'll keep this short and sweet. I thank you all again for responding on such short notice.
Thanks to
Anything
Ross
else?
for his, as usual, right on top of it and a good job explaining it to us. So
Yeah,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Ross.
and
Anything-
Amanda,
Thank you.
and
all.
Amanda,
Absolutely.
thank you both.
We'll
Yeah.
plan on a
It's-
quorum then for May 12th.
Okay. Okay, and Arnett, thank you for setting up our Zoom call and including our flag. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Happy to
Um,
help.
Okay, so anybody else have anything?
Paul, can you make it on the 12th?
Yes,
Okay. So-
count me in, coach.
Okay, so we do have a quorum.
Me and Coach, okay,
I'll send out a reminder.
okay, all
Okay.
right. Okay, everybody, thank you
Okay.
again.
Ciao, ciao.
Short and sweet. Enjoy the end of May. Today's the 22nd anniversary of Dow 10,000. And I understand it's Ross' parents' anniversary tonight, so
Wow.
anniversary. So,
Right.
all right. So everybody, thank you.